Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land of which we record. We pay our respects to elders, past and present, who are part of the world's oldest continuing culture and the first storytellers. We acknowledge the importance of supporting health for all peoples, now and in the future. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people are warned that this podcast may contain the voices and names of people who've passed. Welcome to the HeartKids podcast. Join us to hear stories of Australians affected by childhood heart conditions. On this podcast, you'll hear from heart kids and teens, heart adults, parents, carers and family members, cardiologists and other health professionals. My name is Rachel Knowles and I'm one of your hosts. I'm a journalist and I live with a congenital heart condition. I was born with tricuspid atresia and had Fontan surgery at the age of 2. I'm excited to walk with you on this journey as we share experiences and learn more about those of us living with childhood heart conditions. Today, I'm joined by Holly Cuthbert, a 25-year-old adult living with childhood-onset heart disease. Holly grew up in Busselton in regional Western Australia, and she has had 4 open heart surgeries, mostly during her teenage years and early adulthood. Holly works as a social worker in a high school. She supports teenagers through their own challenges.
I don't think I would be the person that I am today without going through what I went through, and I don't think I would change it either, because I am a lot more resilient, I'm a lot more understanding, I'm empathetic, and it's given me a new lens on just mental health and health in itself.
Today we'll talk about what it's like growing up with a CHD, how her teenage years shaped her, and how she now uses her experiences to support others. All right, well, we will kick off. Welcome to the podcast. The first question that I always give everybody is, where are you dialing in from today?
So I am dialing in from Busselton, which is Wadandi country. So that is about 3 hours south from Perth in Western Australia.
Beautiful, beautiful Busselton. Well, welcome to the HeartKids podcast. I guess get to know you a little bit more. Can you tell us a little bit about your heart condition, when you were diagnosed, and a little bit about early years of life for you?
Yeah, so I was born with a congenital heart condition. So I had pulmonary stenosis, transposition of the great arteries, and a VSD. This was found out when I was still in my mum's belly. So from there, when I was born, I had my first open heart surgery. And then throughout my early years, I didn't have much going on, but within my teens and early adult years, I had another 3 open heart surgeries.
That's massive. So 4 surgeries all up, all at different ages, or what was that like?
So it was my second one was when I was 14, then 18, and then 20. So they were quite back to back. And yeah, it was quite full on for those teen, early adult years in regards to just my health and going through normal teenage stuff. But yeah,
I feel like open heart surgery is like a little bit of a spanner in the works with like early teenage normal life.
Yeah, also just figuring yourself out, and let alone
being a 15-year-old girl is so hard as it is. Oh my god. So what was, I suppose, pre the last 3 surgeries that you had, what was that period like growing up with your family?
It was very normal. So growing up, so I have 4 brothers and a sister. They treated me like any other kid. So I was getting thrown around on the trampoline. I was running after them. I was playing sport. I was a healthy, active kid. So honestly, I didn't really realize that I had a heart condition. And when I went to my appointments, which were in Bunbury, which is about half an hour from Busselton, to see my cardiologist, it was seen as like a day that me and mum got to spend together as like a girls' day, and we'd go and do like a little shop, and then we'd just go to this silly appointment, and then we'd go hang out. But I always knew that I had a heart condition, and I always knew that like what to say when people asked me about like the scar on my chest. But it never was really a thing that I had to constantly put a lot of energy into, if that makes sense.
100%. I can imagine that growing up with 4 brothers, there would have been a lot of times in your household that they might have got roused on for being too...
No, my mum was kind of like, bring it. She can give it back. So
I love that. Correct. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And so you were, I've got a little bit of information. So you went on your first HeartKids teen camp when you were 13. Is that right? Yeah,
Yes,
what
it
was
did.
that like? How did
Yeah.
you kind of connect into Heart Kids being in Busselton and Bunbury, and what was that experience like doing that?
So we had I have a family friend who is also a fellow Heart Kid, and she had gone on the 2012 camp, and then she came back, and her mum told my mum about it and said when Holly turns 13, like she needs to go. It'll be a really great experience. So I was a I wasn't scared of anything, so I was like, "Yep, put me on that plane, take me over there by myself. I'm fine." Um, and yeah, it was honestly an eye-opening experience being around other people that because that was really critical time for me because that's when it all started to kind of flip. So when I was 13, it was kind of conversations talking about having surgery, um, and things were kind of getting a bit more
Mm.
scary. So that community and Heart Kids in itself and the teen camps were honestly life changing for me.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because it's kind of right on the tipping point of when that journey began for you. I think what was the
Yeah.
value for you having like friends and community during that process?
I think it's just as simple as having someone like people around you that know semi what you're
Mm.
going through, and even if they don't know the full extent or haven't gone through the same amount of surgeries or they were younger when they had surgery, they are still like if they still have to go see a cardiologist. They know what that is and they know what that process looks like and they know the transition and things like that. So just having like I'm in a group chat now with some of the girls and I'm still in contact with them every day and they're my best friends. So it has changed my life. And Jaden, who was on the podcast, me and her are
Besties.
really, really close.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. So yeah, so and we go over and do trips to see each other and it's just a really solid community that I love being a part of and I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, and I think like I often like try to describe it as like it's almost like you're speaking another language. Like I don't have to translate what I'm saying to people in our community. Like I can just say this is what I had to do and this is what I had to do, and some people might have had that experience, they might not have, but they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, and even mental health side of it too. So, like if I'm having a day where I'm feeling a bit like triggered with my PTSD and things like that, I can message a group chat and just say, "I'm not having a good day today, and everything is annoying me," and
Mhm.
and they're there to sit there and listen and give that free advice and just be there and be a supportive. And they're always
Yeah, just
there.
hold your hand in it. Like that's all you really need, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess talk to me about having teenage years that you had these surgeries in. What was that period like for you? How did it feel balancing school and this and also, an active social life as a teenager?
It was really hard to navigate because on the one end at 15 you just want to be normal and you want to just live your life and not have this stuff going on, but then you have this really confronting scary aspect that's happening in your life that you can't run away from. And also I didn't know how to set boundaries at that point, and friendships when you're
Mhm.
like what 14, 15, 16, all the way up into your 20s is such a complex like system that you have to work through. Um, so I guess it was more like, okay, well, I can't come out this weekend because I'm feeling really tired, for an example. And then my friends, as much as they could understand, couldn't understand. They'll be like, what do you mean you're just tired? Like, have a nap, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. But looking back on it now as an adult, like, I can't expect my friends at that time to know what that was like. So I used to hold a lot of anger because I was like, why can't they understand? But it's because they will never be able to understand. So that was quite hard. And then also academic side of it too. Like to me at that period of time, that wasn't my focus.
Mm.
So I fell behind in school because I had to take a period of time off school when I had surgery at 14. And it was during NAP plan, which
Mm.
in Western Australia is like our standardized testing. So I couldn't do that, which made me set back for when I was in year 10 and year 11 and year 12. So that was quite frustrating because I had no control over it, but it was something that followed me through until I
Yeah.
finished school.
I think that's a really and I like loved the way that you just talked about looking like back on how you felt when you were younger. I think it's a really complex thing to like come to terms with the fact that actually I didn't have control over this and this had to be the way that it was. And I'm mad and I'm annoyed about that, but that's just what it is. But also having like And I very much feel much the same as you do, looking back in, you know, the relationships that I've had in my life and been like, oh, I can't believe they didn't understand it, or I can't believe I had to like, but it takes a lot of love to be like, no, I love them. I understand that we're very different people and I'm okay with that. And like, as much as that hurt me, I understand that. How have you kind of gotten to that point? Like, that's a really massive, I suppose, process to come to peace with.
I think it's just maturity, I guess, as well. Once you get a bit older, you have a new lens, I think, on your friendships and as much as my stuff when I was growing up was a lot, everyone else also has a lot of stuff going on. So I couldn't ask them to put away their stuff to come and deal and help me emotionally get through. So, but my friends have always been very supportive and are always there when I need a conversation. But it's just a matter of I felt isolated because I was in this process alone that no one else around me was going through in my immediate circle, and everyone that I knew had gone through it were on the other side of the country. So it
Totally
was,
niche experience. Like, it's very, very unique. It's very different.
and you kind of feel like a little bit like a fish out of water because people are like, what do you mean you're having open heart surgery? Like, are you okay? And then because I look okay, like I didn't like have the like like my heart condition symptoms in themselves was just at the time the
Yeah.
tiredness like that wiped me out, and it was like the cardiac tired and normal tired are two completely different things. Like I can't even put into words. But so then they would like everyone else around me was like, okay, well, just get up, and I'm like, well, I can't.
100%. It takes a lot of effort to get up. Like, I'm tired in a different way.
Yeah, my body's trying to function on like nothing.
That's it. That's it. And I want to ask you as well, because you know, were talking about like wanting to be normal through that period and struggling quite a bit. And I think that's really different to the way you spoke about yourself when you were younger and you weren't scared of anything. And
Mm.
I suppose what are the differences you feel in who you were when you were really young to who you were going through that period?
I think when I was younger, I with surrounding my heart condition, I it felt like such a distance away. So I didn't have to think about it, if that makes sense. But when you're in it, it I almost feel like my family as well and everyone else around me, we kind of sucked ourselves in, and we felt like we were on the inside and then everyone else was on the outside because no one knows what that situation is like. We're being told at 14 that, hey, you're going to have open heart surgery. And yeah, it was just a surreal experience. So, and actually going through it, it was almost like fight or flight for all of my teenage years. Like I was running on adrenaline and was waiting for the next appointment, was waiting for the next bad news, was waiting for the next, because everything kind of happened one thing after another after another. And then looking on hindsight now, it's because it's all kind of settled down at the moment. So then I've had the chance to reflect and I've had the chance to unpack certain things that have happened. But in that period, I didn't have the chance to unpack it. So I was running just one thing after another.
And I think it's a really common experience, isn't it? Where like people can go through this and it's actually really hard to unpack that. It's actually like you can see the boxes in the back of your brain and you know that was a stressful period of your life, but you're like, I don't know if I have the guts to unpack that stuff. So to do that work
Yeah.
so young is massive.
And also, it's just scary because you don't understand how much a situation can impact you until you start unpacking it. And then you're faced with a lot of things you have to work through. And even now with my medical stuff, I didn't realize that coming up to my coming up to my cardiologist appointments, I would get into a state of being triggered, and how I even managed that. And for me to say that now, that has taken me a lot of unpacking.
And I
But
think
yeah,
it's something that like I'm very much the same. I'm I'm the most type A person, but it comes to my health, I'm like a complete control freak. It's so different. But I think one of the best things that has been for me is like just having to be comfortable in the knowing that like you just did what you did to get through that. and whatever you do in
Yeah.
survival mode, you know, you've paid them debts. It is what it is. You just got to have a lot of love and gratitude for yourself. Yeah, to know that you did what you had to do, and now you can rest and try and look after yourself. So I think one of the like big pillars in the journey that we all have is the transition to adult care. What did that look like
Mhm.
for you? So you had the majority of your surgeries kind of before transitioning to adult care. How did that go? What was that movement like? How did you feel? And how were you supported?
I kind of felt a bit powerless in it, if I'm being honest, because I go from having the same cardiologist he was the one that my mum saw when she was pregnant with me until I think I was about 16 when I started to transition. Um, and then so you go and feel building this relationship with this person and seeing them every year, to suddenly them not being involved in your care is quite confronting because you've built up that trust. And then my unique experiences is my like cardiology team now is actually a team. So every single time I go there, I could see a different person.
Mm,
So when I was 18 and 20 and getting that news of having to have surgery, it was coming from strangers who I
yeah,
didn't trust. So that in itself was also really hard because you almost try and you convince yourself that they don't really know what they're talking about because you don't know them.
mm,
You're like, oh, it's not as bad as what
yeah.
they say that it is. Like, no, they don't know what they're talking about, which is stupid, but it's
Oh,
your brain of way of
yeah,
coping is you try and nitpick. But obviously, uh, like I ended up having surgery and they did know, but it was just that hard of going from having building that relationship to having no relationship with these people who make really important decisions about your healthcare and your
yeah,
health is
yeah,
hard.
100%. And having to take like autonomy and advocate for yourself in a setting that you already have a lot of trauma in, and you already have a lot of,
Mhm.
weight that comes with that setting. How have you managed to, I suppose, advocate for yourself in these situations, knowing that, they have at times felt unsafe?
I always bring someone with me. So even now to my appointments as I'm 25, either my mum or my partner comes with me because I've recognized that in myself, I kind of almost go into it's almost like a blackout thing. So everything they say to me, it goes in one ear and out the other because I'm like in a stressful environment. Um, so that has been really helpful. And also, I with health in general, and I'm not sure if this would be the same with you, but I always tend to push things down too. So I got into a relationship last year and I was having this pain, and my partner was like, "This is really weird. You need to talk to him about it." And I was like, "No, I'm not talking to him about it. Like,
Mhm.
it's nothing. Don't worry about it." And then it got to the point where they were like, "No, you need to." So I did. And my sternum wires ended up being snapped. So I had, yeah. Sorry to
That's
any heart kids that
that's
are listening.
massive. That's like, no wonder you're having pain, poor
Yeah,
thing.
but it's because of the medical trauma and not wanting to raise this because you don't want it to lead to something else. It's like another thing to add
Mhm.
on top of everything else. But I think it's really important to have confidence in what you say, and if something's not feeling right, to voice it because it is okay and they're there to help you in the end. Like you're sitting in front of them.
I feel like you're reading my mind because I was gonna actually ask you about that because I'm like, I feel like very similar vibes because I it's very interesting. I was going to ask you about your processing around, there is all that kind of trauma around medical settings and clinical
Mm.
settings, but you can't avoid that. You do, like, we have heart conditions, we have to have the appointments and we have to see the specialist and we have to see new people and advocate for ourselves. So what has helped you in, I suppose, moving through that trauma or trying to not avoid or push down the things?
It is a process. And I try and just take it one day at a time, because when you're living with a health condition that is
Mm,
unpredictable too, it is, you get so bogged down in trying to plan everything.
mhm,
And that thought process is so scary because the thought of me in 5 years, 10 years time, like I don't know
yeah,
where like my health wise is going to be. So I think just going to each appointment and taking what they say at that
mm,
time and just trying to leave it at the door unless it's something that you need to follow up with. and just see as your appointments as something that you can walk through, listen,
Yeah.
and leave.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise, if you sit there and you worry and you mellow in it, it's just gonna control your life, which is not what needs to
Yeah.
happen.
And I think the way that I've had to start looking at it is like, it's a scale, and it's kind of like, this is how much I need to do in terms of looking after myself and caring for myself and doing all the right things. But I can also push that too far, and I can stop living the life
Yeah,
that I want to live, and I can become isolated, and I cannot go out and see my friends. And I have to be comfortable with the sell-off somewhere. I have to put the scale somewhere in the middle where I'm comfortable.
yeah, and I found almost I didn't want to let anyone
Yeah.
else in for such a long time of my life because um, it almost felt that I was sucking them into this void of like trauma because I've seen with my siblings as well, like how me going through surgery has affected them and like your parents. So it felt almost like this toxic circle of me just wanting to keep everyone
Yeah.
close and not letting any new people in because I didn't want to explain what has happened. You feel like you're this vortex almost, like that is just not fun to be around, but it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's just that period. And you just, yeah,
Yeah.
you just got to power through.
I think I've learned a lot around, there is a lot of emotional labor in that as well, inviting someone else in and having to explain and having to commute. But I have learnt that actually I don't have to explain everything. And some people don't actually want all these answers from me. A lot of time they don't want that. They're just my friend and they want to show up, and it's okay.
Yeah, and you find yourself over explaining a lot too. I don't know,
Yeah.
like when talking about before, like being tired and all that. Now with my friends, I'm like, okay, I can't do it because I've set those boundaries, and once you've set them,
Mm-hmm.
then that should be it. You shouldn't have to keep explaining yourselves too. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, learning that people who push on those are people you should put a little bit of maybe a question mark above their head. A little bit of
Yeah.
question mark, yeah. Looking back, I suppose being 25 now, looking back on, your early life and your teenage years, I suppose what's the kind of resolution? How do you feel about that journey, and how do you think that it has kind of formed who you are now?
I say this a lot, and I know this is a bit probably different to say, but I don't think I would be the person that I am today without going through what I went through. And I don't think I would change it either, because I am a lot more resilient. I'm a lot more understanding. I'm empathetic. And it's given me a new lens on just mental health and health in itself. So it's hard because obviously I didn't want to go through that and I didn't have a choice, but it has shaped me into the person that I am today.
Yeah. And I think that's actually a really beautiful resolution to come to, and I feel very similar as well. And I think that that's very much the result of a lot of work and a lot of processing and a lot of love. So,
Yeah.
girl. You are one of my favorite kind of people. Social worker. Tell me a little bit about the work that you do and kind of what got you into this field. I can imagine potentially why you've ended up in social work. I'd love to hear from you how that's happened.
So I kind of just stumbled on social work. So what happened was I was in uni and I was actually doing nursing. And then I was bumming out on the anatomy unit. I couldn't, my brain just doesn't work like that. And also I had to withdraw because I ended up having to have surgery in 2020. So once I withdrew, I was like, I'm not going into the medical field. I need to stay away from that. That's not good for my overall well-being. And I was like, okay, so I want to help people. What do I want to do? And then I looked at my grades and I did really well in like the social work unit. And I had no idea what social work was before that. And I went, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And I've absolutely fallen in love with it. And now I work in a school that helps kids that are disengaged from the current education department, and it's helping them get back into school so we can help them when they progress out of school. So it's great.
I love that. And I think I love what you said about knowing that staying away from the medical field. And I felt a lot of that when I was growing up. I always wanted to be a doctor. Always wanted to be Yep. And I think that is because I wanted to give back and I wanted to do what people had done for me, but realizing that actually that's doing, supporting my community in a different way will be more helpful than putting myself in that position. And did you struggle when you had to step back from nursing? Did you feel a little bit of that maybe guilt?
A little bit, but honestly, what was the seal of it was I went and saw my cardiothoracic surgeon like after my surgery, and I told him my plans, and he looked me dead in the face and went, "Don't do nursing." He was like, "Please don't." And I was like, okay, so if he's telling me probably to stay away, then maybe I should.
I'll listen to that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. I think, do you think that the experience that you've had and the supports that you've had through your life has influenced the way that you work, and particularly within your professional career in social work?
Yeah, definitely. Social work, I think to make a good social worker, you almost would have to have a bit of life experience in certain aspects. So I think within myself and going through my own like mental health struggles around like my health condition and my PTSD and things like that has shaped me to be able to understand young people when they're at the age that I was experiencing all this stuff and be like, okay, I know, I understand what you mean. And yeah, it has shaped, I think, who I am as a social worker, definitely.
Yeah, totally. I think that we can't really take that kind of tool belt off in any aspect of our life. I think we've got that no matter where we go.
Yeah.
If you could, I suppose, talk to a young person who is, may have surgeries on the rise and may have health concerns with a heart condition, what would be the advice that you gave them?
Take it at your own pace would be mine. I know everything around you will feel so chaotic. And if you don't understand something, ask, because there's even stuff that I am learning about my heart condition now because I was just too scared to ask the question at the time, or I just didn't understand what they were breaking down to me. So I think having your own voice is quite powerful. And in the end, that this is just a period of time in your life and you will get through it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I loved that. Well, they are all of my questions for you. Is there anything else you would like to note or you would like to add?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered most of it.
Thank you so much. I've absolutely loved having you on. It's been so nice to talk and get to know you, and thank you for everything that you've shared. It's a really valuable episode. I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Oh, thank you.
This podcast deals with some heavy things. If this brings up anything for you or somebody that you love, it's important to reach out for help. The HeartKids helpline provides support, advice and guidance for people impacted by childhood heart disease. You can call the helpline on 1800 432 785. To access more information about childhood heart disease as well as support from HeartKids, visit the website heartkids.org.au. The information on this podcast is not a substitute for medical advice from your doctor or healthcare team. Always talk to your doctor about matters that affect your health or your family's health.